Okay, I got me a new little GoPro camera, and I thought I'd give it a try and see what kind of a test I could come up with. So I got a fish tank, and it's 10 by 20 inches. And later on I'll show you the measurements on it. And the whole idea behind this is to show how waves can block out things in the distance that are, closer to you. So right now I'm getting a hose, and I'm going to add some water to this tank because it's a little low. And I walk over here, I look at my camera because I wasn't sure if it was on because the screen shuts off. So, the first time I really ever used it, I mean, I did use it one other time and it seemed to work, but a little different working with a GoPro camera than the Nikon Coolpix P900. So what I do is I get it right here, and I'm going to put it in slow motion, and I'm going to show you that little quiver of the water. Watch the background up next to my house, the screen room, the door. I wiggle the tank, get that water quivering in the tank, because what I want to see is if it's going to block out something in the background. And you can see how just that little quiver is blocking out some of the background up toward my house, like my screen door area. And look at this when I blow into the water. Look at how much that water blocks out. Okay? That's just like a wave that's at this angle that's in front of a boat will block out the whole of the boat. So again, I do these little tests just to see what I can see, and with this little GoPro camera it was alright, but it does have a kind of a fishy-eyed lens. So a little bit later on here, I'm going to get out my my Nikon, but meanwhile I'm going to still test with this thing a little bit because it is showing some proof of what I'm saying is true. As that boat gets farther from you in the horizon, like my other videos prior to this shows, those waves will block the lower end of the hull. Again, I'm kind of moving the camera up and down, making a sliver out of that 20 inches. That's 20 inches right there. So the whole purpose is to make a little sliver out of that 20 inches. I call it compressing the skyline, or compressing the water to where you're just seeing a little sliver of 20 inches being brought down on a sliver. That's why I tell people, look down a board or look down a table and just look at the surface, but get as low as you can, and you'll see that edge is squashed down. Your whole top of your tabletop is going to look very tiny. Now I'm going to try another little test here. I'm going to actually get the camera up a little bit higher. Hang on here. Okay, I'm putting a little shim or something underneath it to raise it up a little bit, because I want to be higher than this edge. Even though you can see the edge, the lens of my camera is above it. That's why you still see the sliver of water over the top of it. And later on I'll prove. I'll even raise my camera higher, because when I break out my Nikon on it, I can also focus it in better. I can focus it in at the edge of the tank and focus it to the back of the tank. And I will show how that works. But you can see here very easily that just that little quiver of water. Look at the little white strip over by my umbrella. It's a down umbrella, but look at that little white strip on the screen door. See how it gets covered just by that little quiver? And that screen door is quite a ways away. I'd say maybe 100 feet. but that little sliver there is about 4 inches wide. So it's covering up a 4-inch wide sliver. And it don't look that wide, but believe me, it is. Well, you don't have to believe me, but you'll see. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about and why I do these little tests. Anything that splashes or the quiver of the water will block out your background. Also, look at the close corner of my house and compare it to the far side. Okay, you see how it slopes downward? That would just keep sloping until it disappeared into the background. That's why I say I wish I had a 50-foot tank. And I'm gonna find a pond somewhere where the water stays pretty flat and level. But I'd also want to get where I can create either a wave or a wake or something, so you can see how it will block out anything in the background, anything out on the very far edge of this water. And you can see here I'm shaking the tank. Water, the wind's blowing, the water's quivering, and it just keeps covering up stuff in the background. It's easier to look at my house toward that screen room, and you see those white little slivers getting blocked out. So again, my house is way bigger than this tank, but by the looks of it, the tank's almost as big as my house, or actually it's bigger than my house. So is the tank bigger than my house, or is my house bigger than the tank? So a closer object will block out a farther object, and that's what waves are. Waves are a closer object, and on the angular resolution that I'm setting at, it will totally block stuff out. So again, the boat does not go over any curvature. It's flat, it's level. Water will always be level. Water don't lie, it always tell you the truth. Freeze it, and it'll stay flat. Freeze it in a bowl, it's flat. Freeze it in this tank, it's flat. Freeze it in a lake, it's flat. People ice skate on them because they're flat. So where do they get a curve on large bodies of water? Small bodies of water don't have a curve, but the big bodies of water does. Oh, why? Because it doesn't freeze? Out in the middle of the Pacific doesn't freeze? Come on. People need to really think for themselves. They need to stop believing in what these people are telling them, because it's just absolutely crazy. Now you can see here the wind's blowing, and that water's still quivering, and it's still covering up these edges. Now right here I drop a few coins in the water, and it causes a wake. Look at those waves. Look at those wakes. I mean, how can you deny those wakes in there? That's just absolutely crazy. Another one. Boom. Look at how much of a wave that it creates. Just that little dropping that coin in the water, and how much it covers up. Now I'm going to break out my Nikon right here. I'm going to get it out, and I'm going to do a little focusing. We're going to get on this tank, and we're going to focus in on that boat, and we're going to focus in on the edge of the tank. But you can obviously see that this boat is on the back edge of that fish tank. I got it sitting on the lip of the back edge of the fish tank. And there's a reason for it. If I put it in the water, it floats all over the place. And that's in the back side of the tank. And later on, I'll show you both sides of the tank. You can still see how that water quivers a little bit. Just enough to cover up that bottom ridge of that piece of plastic. It's my make-believe boat. Again, that was a piece of it was the top on the positive side of a battery when I purchased it. So I think I say it in here before again, but I saved it because it resembled a boat. It resembled a ship. So I saved it for, my wild imagination. All right. So, I just left it set here just so you can see how much just that little quiver of the water blocks that out. So, you can't deny that what you're seeing right here is proof that, little bits of water can block out the bottom hull of a boat. Now, when you get out there on the edge, you get what you call a wall of water caused from swells and the wind blowing. If the wind's blowing real hard in one direction, it'll blow a swell up along the shoreline or out in front of the shoreline. Also, as water comes out of the depths up to shallow spots, sandbars, they cause a swell. So these swells, once a boat gets behind it and your angle, you can't see over that swell. Here I put a little stick in front of the tank here to try to get it to block out some of the boat, and it does. Look at the little hair sticking up or the little piece of moss. That's blocking out quite a bit just for a little stick of moss. Alright, I'm going to let my video start talking for itself on what I read. My boat fell in. But I'm trying to make a wave. So you could see the difference. I couldn't see it because I do this by myself. But my camera is up a little bit higher than the boat. I'll try to do one of these experiments in a longer reservoir of water, and we'll see how they work out. Well, I'm at full zoom right there too. And it's only, 20 feet in front of me. Okay. My miniature boat that I made. So let me bring the boat in closer to this side of the tank. Okay, I hope you could obviously see that it got bigger. Okay. And let me focus it a little bit better here for you. And then again, I'm going to move it to the other side. Back again. And let's focus it again. So just that little distance of the fish tank Made my boat get a little smaller. Okay. Oh, there's some good wind. Showing you how just that angular resolution works. How it's blocking the bottom end of the hull. Little at a time, but this is on a very small scale. I'm not on a big scale. So we're going to find a way to do this on a large scale. I'll go to a lake, a pond, a swimming pool. Alright? We'll be doing that one day here soon. Just a little test. Here's something else I can do. Being that some of the water is out of the tank now that I've made some splashes, I'm going to add a little bit. Now right here I'm going to add some water to this fish tank, and I'm going to fill it to the brim. Alright? So keep an eye on it and watch what happens to the boat. Alright? Watch what happens to it. Just keep your eye on the boaty. Alright. I'm going to let you listen to a little bit of silence here as I fill up this tank. Now one of the things that you'll notice as I'm filling this tank up, watch the boat when it leans back away from you, and it just barely leans back a little bit. But watch the difference in it. You definitely see a difference in the boat leaning back. Okay, so keep an eye on that too. I think that's very interesting. And voila, look at there. Now I'm focused in on the edge of the tank. I've got that water right at the brim. Right at the brim. Okay? Now I'm going to focus back on the boat. My make-believe little boat. Okay? One last thing to do. Actually, this thing right here is the top of well, it's on top of a battery, a car battery, on the positive side when you buy a battery or purchase a battery. So I took it off and saved it because it reminded me of a ship. And right here I'm dropping some coins in the water to create a wake. So we'll have to slow that down. Now watch how much of this wake from these coins I'm dropping actually covers up the boat. How much it actually hides the lower end of the hull of the boat. Each one of these coins that I drop is going to create a wake. And it hides that part of the boat. And that's what happens out on the horizon when you're watching a boat supposedly sink. And the farther it gets away, these little wakes, these little waves, or big swells can block out the whole lower end of the boat. So this is one good way to test. It's observation, observing what we're doing right here is the most important thing. And just imagine if that boat was farther back on that water plane, how much more of that wave right there would have blocked it out. So again, this is part of our indoctrination that we get told we live on a globe. Then you get mocked, ridiculed, and even people want to beat your ass. What, over the shape of the earth? Is it worth it? Yeah, the truth is worth it. So, keep on seeing what we can find here. Okay, I'm making this video to prove that on angle, this is a 10 by 20 inch fish tank. My camera is approximately 20 feet from it, and I'm gonna bring this camera up close to it at the end of this video, so you can see. Now, I just made another video the other day about this, and my camera does show the edge of the tank, okay, and I can bring this thing down if I want to this very edge, but I want people to see that my camera is set above it. Now the boat just fell into the water. Let me go set it back up, because I want it up a little higher, just so we can see that the water at this angle, that the waves will lap over this boat. And I've also got these little pieces of styrofoam in there, and what I'm going to do is place those styrofoam pieces at the front of the tank and let you see how a smaller object can block out quite a bit of the boat. I mean, a closer object, and what I'm referring to is waves that will be created by the oceans in front of the boat at this angle. At the angle that I'm shooting at will actually block out a good portion of the boat. So in my boat video from Cocoa Beach, which I may put a piece of this into my video too, so people will understand why the bottom of the hull disappears before the top, and why the top stays well above, because it is higher. Okay, let me go reset my boat. Here's my finger sitting on the back edge, okay? The back edge of the fish tank. Here's my finger on the front edge of the fish tank. Now, I'm going to drop these little styrofoam pieces in here. If they come unstuck on my finger. Very high, but I think it's high enough to prove my point. Now, if we can get some wind to work with me here on this, and maybe even cause some waking in the water in the fish tank, or some movement of it. Okay. Let me get some other styrofoam. Now what I did was I put multiple pieces in there, and they're just floating around at different distances. Some are in the front of the tank, some are at the back of the tank. But you can see how these little pieces of styrofoam are blocking out the boat. So think about waves being created by, the winds out there in the water, and how these closer waves will block out the lower end of the boat, the hull. And then you got to take into consideration the farther that this boat gets from me, okay? And look at there. You can even see when it tilts away or tilts forward. Now let's turn it around. That tilting away. Okay, we're going to let that boat float around out there. And, it's sunk a little bit, but there is a little piece of styrofoam inside of it to keep it afloat. And I'm going to put another piece in it and try to just let it float around out there. And let's see what happens. All right, but you can obviously see these little pieces of styrofoam is blocking out a good portion of this boat. And like I said, I will take the camera off and take you over there and show you these little pieces of styrofoam floating around inside this tank. Okay? I'm going to back off a little bit so you can see the whole tank here. At least I'm going to try to. And you can see that now this boat's this replica. Okay, it's my make-believe boat. Looked pretty good. So what I wanted to do is use it and show you how these things will definitely affect what you see farther away. And I'm trying to focus this a little bit better. But you can obviously tell that I am above the tank, because you can see the back edge and the front edge. And again, I will try to place my finger there so you can see both ends. Okay? This is the front. This is the back. I hope you can see both fingers. And it is hard to do this by yourself, because I can't watch my camera and see if I'm in the right position. But again, you can obviously tell that these things are being blocked. And you can obviously tell when this boat moves around that it's leaning away. It's leaning back away from you, which, that's what you would see if it was going over the curvature of Earth. Now, I'm going to do a full zoom. Again, I'm only 20 feet away. I'm going to do a full zoom on the boat. And you can obviously see these little pieces of styrofoam, when going in front of it, will block it out. Now, they've all kind of like congregated up against the back because the wind is blowing. But we'll see if we can't get a few of those little pieces back out in front of the boat. Hang on. And I tried to get those pieces where they're actually where they were actually in different locations. So again, it's pretty obvious that these little items are blocking out the bigger portion of the ship. And just think, if this was a say if it was a 50-foot fish tank, how much farther, how much more would these closer objects be to block it out? And you can try this yourself. You can actually take say a Coke can and place it at one distance, and then put a thimble at another distance, and the thimble will block out the whole Coke can. So it's perspective, angular resolution. There's a lot of combination of things that occur when you're watching boats out on the water. And this is what I want to say. If I go over here and make a splash in the water, you're going to see these waves really block out more of that boat, which here, I'm going to do that too. I got 4 minutes here to show you this, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a little wave in the tank. So I hope you've seen that. Okay, the boat turned away, so it's kind of like turned facing away. Let's turn my boat back around here. So again, I wanted to show you that. And I actually wish I could anchor my boat so it's not moving around so much in the tank. But that's at full zoom, and that's only 20 feet away. Okay? Now, I want to take my camera off here because I want to kind of keep this down to a 15-minute video. So I'm going to take my camera off. And I want to take you over there to the tank and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so again, this is just a little bitty fish tank. It's 10 by 20. In my other video I measured it for you, so you can pretty much see how big this tank is. And by lowering it, when I talk about compression, we're compressing that top layer right there into a little sliver, okay? And that little sliver, okay, is, the farther, you got to take into consideration that little sliver is actually this whole area. So we're compressing it down to a small one, okay? So I hope you can understand what I'm trying to explain, okay? And I'm going to try to put together a whole little video that I got, and then I'm going to try to do a this by a little better scale. Say actually find a lake or a pond or something and do a video the same way by keeping my camera real low to the surface of the water, and show you how waves work and how it can block out the lower end of the hull at the different angle that you're at. You know, the higher up you go on any flat surface, you will see more of that flat surface. Okay? Make that simple and understandable. I wanted to show you these little pieces of styrofoam in here are just little tiny pieces compared to the boat. You know, the boat is much taller than these little tiny pieces of styrofoam that are in the water, and they're kind of congregating, all clustering up, but I was trying to keep them separated and break them up so, you know, they weren't in big clumps. So this way, again, you know, you could see that these little pieces, the ones that were up here at the front of the tank, were blocking out the boat, and the ones that were even in more in the center were even blocking it out more. So any waves that are up next to the boat, the farther out that boat gets, they even block it out even more. So this is why the lower end of the hull will be blocked out. Okay, I just want to make a video showing this fish tank. The fish tank is 20 inches long. Here's the edge of my ruler, and there's the 20-inch mark. Alright, give me a second here, sideways. We're going to set it out here and show you that it is 10 inches wide. Okay, and then the little item that I used here, this is a shim, and it's just a little skinny shim, and this is the item that I used. Let me set it up here. That's the item that I used to slide in front of the boat, but on its edge. So, you know, that's what you were looking at, on the edge. And then this is a little make-believe boat that I use, and let's see if I can't compare it to this so you can kind of see the thickness of it. Okay, so that gives you an idea of that. And there's the fish tank, and this is compressing it. This is what I mean when I say compressing. You know, we take the water that is, you know, 20 inches by 10 inches. If we hold it up here, I don't know, I can't see way up there, but should have the whole tank in there. By going down and getting on an angle to it, we just make it into a little sliver. Okay, so, you know, it's obvious that my camera was above the water, but this is just a little test that I did, and then I wanted to just show you the materials that I used to make the video. Okay, nothing more than that. A couple little coins that I dropped in the water while you know, I was filming to make a little splash. Okay, one of the other things that I wanted to show you is how far away I was filming from. It's kind of hard to show, and I don't know if my tape measure is quite that long, but it's not that far away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this to the front of the tank, my tape measure, and I'm going to try to pull it back to my tripod. Okay, and give you an idea about how far away I was. Okay, well, here we go. I'm about at, hope you can see that, it's about at 18 feet, 6 inches. Okay, so hopefully, like I said, I think you can see that. So 18 feet, 6 inches, that's how far away I was, and then you can add the 20 inches on for the length of the tank to my little make-believe boat. Alright, again, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my little presentation.